Okay, welcome back to Jarrett 306. Continuing from my last video, I did movies to watch on Canada Day, July 1st. Um, if you didn't see that one, go ahead and review it. It's worth the watch, I would say. Now, of course, 3 days later, 4th of July happened, and not only was it the 4th of July, not only was it Independence Day in America this year, it was the 250th anniversary of Independence Day. The Declaration of Independence was signed in America on July 4th, 1776. So these guys, these guys are way ahead of Canada as far as how many years they've been a country. But they also are ones that give us, the most films that we watch, the most television that we watch, the most music that we hear. That's fine, and sometimes the sports teams that we love. If you wanna ask about that, send me a message, I'll tell you all about it. But let's just start here. Movies to watch on the 4th of July, according to a Canadian from Saskatchewan. So no, 4th, some people ask like, "Oh, does Canada celebrate the 4th?" No, no, we don't. We don't. There's fireworks on July 1st on Canada Day, but not on the 4th of July. Doesn't mean we don't like you guys. We love our neighbors to the south. Absolutely. You're our best friends. Always have been, always will be. But one thing I like to do, I like to watch certain movies on the 4th of July that have to do with or take place within that time frame. And some of them are some of the best, some of them are silly, whatever, but let's get right down to it. And the first movie I'm gonna start off with is Live Free or Die Hard, otherwise known in Europe as Die Hard 4.0, which is probably a better title for this movie, that's for sure. But nevertheless, the fourth installment of Die Hard, of course, it stars Bruce Willis as John McClane coming back. He's a senior detective, and he was told to pick up a potential hacker that's played by Justin Long, known as Matthew Farrell, and he's to bring him to the Hoover Building in D.C. because he's a prime suspect in a virtual hack that had taken place, and they still don't know what's going on at that time. So, nevertheless, what eventually becomes to play out is that a high level, very highly intelligent hacker that used to work with the Department of Defense, known as Thomas Gabriel, played by the great character actor Timothy Oliphant. Um, he creates a virtual attack against America known unofficially as a fire sale. They call it a fire sale because everything must go. It's a three-step process to take down any functional society. Step one, take down all transportation. Step two, take down the financial base and telecom. Step three, take down the utilities, which is gas, water, electric, and nuclear, right? And together, Farrell and McLean, they they fight and they through their differences and they work together to save the day, the 4th of July weekend, which is like the one of the worst times to create a fire sale because right there, the government, half the government's on vacation, and it is the worst time for something like this to happen to a nation that's developed. So, and I would highly recommend that one. It's got some of the most impossible action scenes that could ever happen in an action movie because this is shit that can't happen in real life. But I'll tell you what, that's what makes it a lot of fun. And what's great is that it ends well. And of course, we hear right at the end CCR's "Fortunate Son," uh, one of the most well-known uh, songs that's been used in many very American films. All right, number two, you want to get some laughs, you want to have some funny. I'll tell you what, nothing gets better than The Goods. Live Hard, Sell Hard, starring great cast of comedians as well as just serious actors. Jeremy Piven, Bing Rames, James Brolin, David Koshner, Catherine Ham, um, Ed Helms, and who could forget Craig Robinson as DJ Request. And as we learn in this movie, nobody tells DJ Request what to play. So, Piven, the lead, plays Don the Goods Ready. He was an expert car salesman, almost a mercenary, brought in to sell every car off the lot in a dying business that's in Temecula, California on the 4th of July weekend. He must save this business. And it's so funny, so great. The movie has everything that reminds me actually of comedies from the 1980s. It's filled with heart, complication, laughter, and especially obscurity. It is so goddamn wrong. You can't miss with this one. If you like to laugh, I'll tell you. Let's take a good look at the goods. Live hard, sell hard. All right. And the next one. This is the one that I normally watch every 4th of July, but this year I decided not to for a specific reason, and I'll get into that because that'll be my next movie. But this one, it's a perfect movie, one of the greatest of all time, the original summer blockbuster, Jaws. Need I say more? This is the one that dethroned Gone with the Wind from 1939. This was 1976. It dethroned Gone with the Wind as the biggest selling movie of all time. In this one, like I said, it created the summer blockbuster. So every summer we expect, well, what's the next Jaws? Well, it's not going to be the next shark movie because we've seen a ton of those, and none of them are ever going to be Jaws. But well, some of them are fun. But you're going to see what is the next big film. What is the next big film that they're going to bring out summer? Every summer we have them, and it hasn't stopped since. And this is the original one. Um, yeah, the one and only Steven Spielberg directed this, and it's based on a book by Peter Benchley. And that is and also and that's essentially a screenplay as well, and it's essentially about fishing when you really think about it. It's just fishing, and it's got high stakes that they're not even aware of until halfway through the film when they find the fish that they're looking for, and then they're like, oh shit, because this movie has three major stars, the ones that take on the expedition. Three different characters with three completely different objectives, and that is Roy Scheider, who plays the police chief, Martin Brody of Amity Island, and he simply wants to keep the community safe because this shark has been killing people and even a child, and they're like, no. This can't continue. We have to stop this, especially with all the tourists that are coming in on 4th of July weekend. That's the biggest money weekend of the year. That's what this entire community counts on every year is that money, that weekend, that particular time. Second, Richard Dreyfuss, the great character actor Richard Dreyfuss. Oh my God, I could say a lot about how much this guy is awesome. But in one of his earliest roles, playing Matt Hooper as an oceanographer who wants to study a wild shark up close. So that's why he's agreed to this expedition to take the shark down because he's looking at it from the scientific point of view of what he could bring back to his contemporaries and say, well, study this. And then the great late Robert Shaw, oh my God, as Quint, who his interest in this is simply revenge. He was a survivor of the USS Indianapolis, which is actually, that's a thing that actually happened in history in World War II. What happened is that the battleship of the USS Indianapolis is the one that uh, transported and dropped off the components that created what was known as Little Boy, the atomic bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima, Japan in World War II. And what happened was, and this is historically, yes, it was hit by two Japanese submarine torpedoes, and the ship went down. And with it, 1,109 out of 1,100, 195 men, 300 went down with the ship, and the remaining 890 faced the worst possible thing you can imagine. Is that's the open ocean, surviving on the open ocean. They some died of exposure, dehydration, saltwater poisoning, and also shark attacks. It was actually still to this day the largest recorded uh, event of and amount of shark attacks on human beings ever recorded in history. So if it happened before history was recorded, who knows? But this was the worst scenario that you could ever be in, and especially when you're at war. And now that explains Quinn's character completely. He has a vendetta against sharks. That's his whole reasoning for being there. And this might be a little bit too early for some of you that haven't watched it. So if you haven't watched it, fast forward through the next 5 seconds. But I'll tell you, yeah, Quint dies. The shark gets him. Sorry, too soon. Anyways, and after Quiff dies, Brody makes it the mission to take down the predator with the great line, "Smile, you son of a bitch." He fires when he happens to have an oxygen tank in his mouth, and it explodes, which Mythbusters have busted and said that would never happen. But that doesn't matter. That was an ending. This movie is one of the few movies that I would actually say it's a perfect film. There is nothing you can say to me there's no scene you can point to, or no line that you can point to in this movie that you can convince me that this film isn't a perfect 10 out of 10. Anyways, and bringing on to the movie that I did watch this year because it's the 30th anniversary, and the title is so appropriate. What is 4th of July? It is Independence Day, 1996. I remember when I first saw this in the films, as sort of in the theater. This movie, oh my God, it had you on the edge of your seat the whole time, and some of it was the most complicated sky battles that you'd seen since the original Star Wars, because of course we hadn't seen the prequels yet or anything like that until 1999. So I mean 96, right? So you just do the math. All right, but so Independence Day, what I found interesting about this one is that I found in actual history that and this is not necessarily referenced in the film, but I always like to think that this might have sparked an idea with somebody who may have wrote it, and that or is that President Ronald Reagan once said to the UN General Assembly on September 21st, 1987, when pondering global unity. Okay, he said, and I quote, "I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world." Then he continued with, "And yet I ask you, is it not an alien force already among us who could be more alien? What could be more alien to the universal as preparations of our peoples than war and threat of war?" So there it is. Even President Reagan kind of saw. So I would always like to think that somebody somebody heard that and said, "Hey, well, what if the world faced an alien race that was hostile and had to go to war against them?" Well, that's this movie. That's what this movie is right here. Directed by the king of disaster movies himself, Roland Emmerich, the great Roland Emmerich. Starring a great ensemble cast, including an up and coming Will Smith. This is only one of his first few films. Bill Pullman, the great Bill Pullman, the great Jeff Goldblum, and of course, the very funny and sometimes serious Randy Quaid, amongst others. So an alien race attacks the world, and the Americans come up with a counterattack. And what really, really, really embodies this movie, and everybody will remember, is that speech that Bill Pullman made as the president, where he says, and this is I'm paraphrasing that today, the 4th of July is no longer America's holiday and the world will celebrate its Independence Day. Now, we need more films like this. We do, because it would just be nice to see that if the world is going to go to war, it shouldn't be against each other. It should be against something that's trying to take out this world. I mean, we don't need war. That's my opinion, anyways. Okay, and there's one more that I'm gonna add to this list, but I'm not gonna go deep into it because I just don't want to get into the politics, and I don't want to upset anybody, I don't want to offend anybody. But if it would be, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Tom Cruise in Born on the Fourth of July, directed by Oliver Stone. I mean, it's the story of a Vietnam veteran who was paralyzed by the name of Ron Kovic. He wrote a book, and his book actually, and I'm just gonna, as a side note, his book actually inspired one of my, actually my all time favorite musician, Bruce Springsteen, to write the song and the album "Born in the USA." Because he got his draft notice and he failed the physical, uh, but he saw his buddies go. Some came back, some didn't, and that has always been something that's affected his life. So nevertheless, I didn't want to get deep. I don't want to get deep into politics because this is not the channel for politics. I'm just saying I would be remiss if I didn't mention if it's the 4th of July. Oh, there's Oliver Stone's Born on the 4th of July. But I want to leave with you with something. I don't want to leave it on a down note. That's kind of a downer. That movie really it's very heavy and it gets depressing and it gets deep. So, um, unfortunately, over in the last couple of days, we lost a great character actor that many people have been talking about, and that is the great Sam Neill. And a lot of people have been putting up, "Hey, yeah, it's Jurassic Park, Jurassic Park." But I want to throw a movie out there that I'm going to suggest to you guys. This has nothing to do with 4th of July, by the way. We're already done that. This is my movie recommendation for everybody this week. If you remember Sam Neill and you want to see how great his performances really can be, Sam Neill and John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness. If um, you love horror movies, if you love thriller movies, that watch that. So I'm gonna leave that with you guys. I want to say to everybody in America, I know I'm like 9 days late, but nevertheless, um, happy 250th birthday. I hope you all had a great and safe Independence Day, and make sure that next year I do this, on the proper day. So happy 4th of July to all of America. And once again, I'm Jarrett 306. Thank you very much.